Welcome students, I am Nafiza, your social science teacher. Today we will discuss the topic contribution of agriculture to the national economy, employment and output along with impact of globalization on Indian agriculture. Before we start the topic, let's recapitulate the points we have discussed till now. First, we have discussed the types of farming, primitive subsistence farming, intensive subsistence farming, and commercial farming. Then we have discussed about cropping seasons, that is Rabi, Kharif, and Zaid. And then we have covered the topic major crops of India. In that we have covered rice, wheat, millets, maize and pulses. Along with then we have covered food crops other than grains. In that we have covered the crops like sugarcane, oil seeds, tea, coffee and horticulture. Then we have discussed non-food crops like rubber and then fiber crops like silk in sericulture, then cotton and jute which is also known as golden fiber. Then we have discussed the technological and institutional reforms in India. Let's start our topic. We all know that agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy as majority of the people are involved in agriculture. Though majority of the people are involved when it comes to economy, the GDP, gross domestic product, okay, gross domestic product is being calculated taking into consideration overall production in the country, taking into consideration primary sector, secondary sector and the tertiary sector. We have discussed this even before. So gross domestic product, if we look at the share of agriculture is very less. When it comes to employment, agricultural share is more. Many people are involved in agriculture, but at the same time when it comes to income, it is very less. So what's a declining trend? We can see declining trend from 1951 onwards. 2010 and 11, about 52% of the total workforce is involved. 52% are involved in the farming sector, which makes more than half of the Indian population in agriculture. Let's observe this through. This is a graph which shows the sectors of economy and their share in GDP and employment. So one box like blue color one, GDP, income level, what is their share in income, and then how many people are involved, employment share. So service sector, if you check, you can see blue color is more in the sense income level. GDP is more, whereas people involved are very less. Then consider agriculture here. Agriculture, blue line is less in the sense income is very less when compared to number of people who are very high. This is what we are discussing. Whereas manufacturing sector, both involvement of people and the income is almost simultaneously somewhat similar. But you can say vast change in agriculture where many people are involved, whereas income is very less. And quite contrast to it, services sector. Service sector, I think you know about three sectors of economy. Primary sector, which includes agriculture, farming, mining activities. When it comes to manufacturing, factories, industries are involved. When it comes to services sector, transport, marketing, professional courses, all these are involved in service sector. Service sector, I can say major boom because of IT sector and the film sector. The declining share of agriculture in the GDP is a matter of serious concern. Why? Because any decline or stagnation in agriculture, in the sense decline in other spheres of economy, as we have studied, agriculture belongs to primary sector. If we get good production from primary sector, only then industry sector can get the raw material. Once industrial sector is working properly, then transport, communication, all this comes under service sector. So all these three are interdependent. So if it is decline in agriculture GDP, in the sense it surely affects the other parts, other sectors also. Considering the importance of agriculture in India, the government made many efforts to modernize agriculture. So what it has done to modernize agriculture, it has set up a research center known as ICAR, in the sense Indian Council of Agriculture and Research, where research goes on for the development or improvement of the agriculture. And then many agricultural universities were set up, veterinary services were set up, animal breeding centers were set up, horticulture development focus on vegetables and fruits sector, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast. All these things are done by the government to modernize agriculture. Meteorology department, improving the meteorology weather satellite department, then working on veterinary services so that animal breeding goes on well, cattle rearing can be done. Along with this, improving the rural infrastructure was also considered essentially. What is meant by rural infrastructure? Infrastructure in the sense construction of roads, major dams, canal works, irrigation work, drainage work, housing, water supply, electricity, telecommunication. So all these comes under infrastructure. All these if developed, naturally the agriculture sector will get a boost. Let's have a look at the table given in your textbook. Table 4.1, India, growth rate of GDP in major sectors. So clearly here they have given in the 2013, 14 and 15 years. So if you look at overall GDP, gross domestic product, how overall GDP is increasing. 2013 it's 6.6, 2014 7.2, 2015 and 16 it is 7.6. Though GDP is increasing, have a look at the share of agriculture. 2013-14 share from agriculture 4.2, 2014 it's minus 0.2, 2015 little improvement 1.1. Clearly shows the declining trend of agriculture in India. So here it shows growth rate is increasing over the years, but it's not generating sufficient employment opportunities in the country. The growth rate in agriculture has been decelerating. We have seen just now it's been going on, getting down at the alarming situation. So Indian farmers are what are the reasons for this decline in the growth rate of agriculture? Reasons. Now we are discussing the reason. First reason, Indian farmers are facing the big challenge from international competition. Then reduction in public investment. Reduction of public investment in agriculture sector by the government. If you look at subsidy, what is meant by subsidy? Subsidy in the sense discount given on the fertilizers. If you take the condition of rich countries like USA and Europe, there farmers are getting 100% subsidy on the fertilizers. In the sense the investment, for sowing the seeds, investment is required in the way of subsidy, pesticides and harvesting techniques, machinery. So farmers are getting good amount of subsidy in that. In the sense the cost of production is less. Once the cost of production is less, naturally when the harvesting season and once the product comes into the market, they will sell at a less rate because they have invested very less amount, as government is providing giving good subsidy on the fertilizers. When it comes to India, government is giving very less subsidy on the fertilizers. Then what happens? The cost of production increases. Suppose a farmer has to grow a crop rice. For that he needs to purchase the seeds, he has to purchase the fertilizers, he has to purchase the pesticides, he has to go on with irrigation work. So all these things are his investment. All these things he need to pay the money to get it. Yes. So what happened? The cost is going on increasing. So once the harvest, suppose rice harvesting is done, now he has to sell in the market. So what he will include he will include the cost of fertilizers, pesticides and his own hard work, labor, the amount he has given to the labor, all these will be included, and then the product will be sold in the market so that he get enough money he has invested. I think you have understood now. Okay. So when it comes to foreign farmers like USA, farmers of USA, they are getting 100% subsidy. Means they no cost of production, only cost of their hard work. That's it, because they'll go to the shops, they'll show their card, and they'll get fertilizers, pesticides, seeds, and they'll grow it. So amount given to the laborers and his own hard work will be involved. What happened here? His cost of production is less, so he will sell in the market as a less cost. So this is what the competition faced by the Indian farmer. So here comes subsidy on fertilizers is decreased, leading to increase in the cost of production. Moreover, reduction. So one more problem. One is Indian farmers' cost of production is more. So he will sell in the market at a higher price. Second thing, what is the challenge faced by him? Reduction in import duties on agricultural products. Import in the sense the things which we are importing from other countries. If the import duty is less, already the USA farmer has cost of production is very less, is ready to sell in the market. Now what we are doing, we are importing the goods of USA and import duty also less. So when both Indian product and US product comes into the market, most probably we are facing with Chinese products, not to say frankly. So if these two products come into the market, as a consumer will go towards a product which is of less cost. So here Indian producers, Indian farmers are facing stiff competition. Clear? So farmers are, and third important point is farmers are withdrawing their investment from agriculture, causing a downfall in the employment. Just our own area surroundings, if we see Hyderabad area or Hyderabad city, we can see lot many agricultural lands are being converted into plots. You might have observed, just observe your surroundings. So farmers are withdrawing their investment from the agriculture, leading to downfall. Laborers, whoever are working, they will become jobless now. So here comes the question, when farmers have been facing so many problems and land under agriculture is decreasing, can we think of alternative employment opportunity in the agriculture sector? So this is the point of discussion. We need to discuss during the discussion time. Okay. One more question. Why are farmers committing suicide in several states of the country? And here we have one more third question which states, find out why Indian farmers does not want his son to become a farmer. So all these points we will discuss during the time of discussion in our regular session. Now let's look at the next topic, impact of globalization on agriculture. Here globalization in the sense overall globe becoming like a small village due to development in technology and communication. Interaction between the countries, production process goes on between the countries, and sale marketing also between the countries. We will discuss about globalization lessons, especially in economics topic. For now, you understand globalization in the sense exchange of goods between the countries. So globalization is not a new phenomenon. It was there from the time of colonization. The main reason for colonies, Britishers making colony in India is Indian products. They were very much fond of Indian products. They have come here as traders, but finally slowly occupied the India, and then we have to fought nearly 200 years to get the freedom from this Britishers, and finally we got the freedom. So that's the story of colonization. This colonization has an impact on the economy also. We have discussed it many times. Now we will discuss globalization in India. So in the 19th century, when European traders came to India, at that time too Indian spices were exported to different countries. Even now Indian spices were famous even till today also. And they have encouraged Indians to grow lot many crops. Today it is one of the important items of export from India. So at this, along with spices, there is one more crop which is very famous in India, and that is cotton. Cotton belts of India attracted the Britishers, and ultimately cotton exported to Britain as a raw material for textile industries. Because of our Indian cotton textile, the industries of Britain has developed. What are the Manchester and Liverpool flourished due to the availability of good quality of cotton from India. So, and along with this Champaran movement, can you recollect history lesson 2? We have discussed about Champaran movement in the year 1917 in Bihar. Have a look at the pictures. After Gandhiji's entry into India, first movement led by Gandhiji was Champaran Satyagraha in the year 1917. Champaran is in Bihar. There in Bihar, farmers were forced to grow indigo plants and they were not allowed to grow the food crops. And these plants were at a very less cost, they used to collect from the farmers. And once the plantation, this indigo plantation goes on, the soil fertility goes down. Later on, they cannot grow another type of crop there. So, lot many problems Indian farmers have faced. So, Gandhiji understood first Satyagraha led by Gandhiji was in Champaran, Bihar. This is the crop, indigo plantation, very beautiful flowers, no? So that indigo plantation later on it takes the color of this blue color and which has been exported to Europe. From there the products are being manufactured to your jeans color, blue color. Okay, Champaran movement started because the farmers of that region were forced to grow indigo on their land, and it was necessary for the textile industries of Britain, Manchester and Liverpool, and they were not allowed to grow the food grains to sustain their own families. Lot of exploitation happened during the time of British rule for Indian farmers. Okay, now that is the case of during colonization. Now we got freedom. Now even after getting freedom, are the farmers enjoying the benefits? Very few. So particularly after 1990, under globalization, particularly after 1990, farmers in India have been exposed to new challenges. Now India is a leading producer and exporter in rice, cotton, rubber, tea, coffee, jute and spices. These are all have very good competition in the world market. Though it's of good quality, our farmers were unable to compete with the world market when compared to other countries. Reason? Prices. Because highly subsidized agriculture in those countries. Reason, those developed countries are giving high subsidy to their farmers, so the cost of production is less and they can sell their product at a lesser cost in the market. Whereas India, it's not possible. India people, farmers have, government is giving very less subsidy because our economy is low economy, middle income economy, so that the government can't put so much on the agriculture sector. So today Indian agriculture finds itself at the crossroads. To make agriculture successful and profitable, proper thrust should be given to the improvement of the condition of marginal and small farmers. Earlier green revolution, after green revolution, no, 1960s, we thought that okay, we have solved the food crisis problem. Now India is going to develop, it going to bloom. Yes, truly it happened also. The states like Punjab, Haryana, UP, many farmers have survived, but here again comes the rich farmers only. At the same time, we can find the controversies relating to green revolution also, that it leads to land degradation due to overuse of chemicals, drying of aquifers because it needs more irrigation, more water, so groundwater level is depleting, and vanishing biodiversity. Ecosystem is been affected due to it. So these are all the disadvantages of green revolution. Now scientists have developed a new keyword, that is gene revolution. Now we are moving from green revolution, which has promised a great boom, and we have surely India has improved a lot after green revolution, but at the same time lot many disadvantages also. So from green revolution now shifting towards gene revolution, in the sense genetic engineering, genetic revolution is recognized as a powerful supplement in inventing new hybrid varieties of seeds. Gene revolution, something like this. So two plants can be using the scientific method, gene therapy can be manipulated and new plant can be developed. So gene modified seed vastly used in India is cotton for now. Along with that, scientists are doing research on maize, mustard and sugarcane also. So comes next point. In fact, organic farming is much in vogue today because it is practiced without chemicals. Even if you go to any shopping mall, you can find organic, one separate block created for this organic food. Okay, so nowadays this is has become a trend, going with organic food, which is been used without the use of fertilizers and pesticides, so that no environmental degradation and no bad impact on the health of the people also. So you can have a look at the picture here, and the problems associated with heavy pesticide use are widely recognized in developed and developing countries. Even now we have understood, that's what now neem coated seeds are coming into the market, organic food is coming into the market, and people are opting for it. Then few economists think that Indian farmers' future is bleak, means very weak. Reason, if they continue growing food grains on the holdings that grow smaller and smaller as the population rises. Our right to as part of right of inheritance, we have discussed it before. Suppose a farmer has some 28 acres of land. To the next generation, suppose he has 2 sons, he's become 10 acres each. Next generation, 2 more sons, then it becomes 5 acres. As the generation is going on, what's happening? The land size is becoming smaller and smaller, and population is also increasing. Have a look at the population. Only rural population in India, if we take, there are something around 833 million rural people in villages at present, which depends on 250 million hectares of agriculture land. So if not even half, no, 250 million only, people are 833, so it is less than half the hectare per person. So here some suggestions given by the scientists, economists and scientists. Indian farmers should diversify their cropping pattern from cereals to high value crops. India is famous in growing food crops like rice, wheat, maize, pulses, sugarcane. Okay, but now what the economists are thinking, now they should move towards high value crops. High value crops are something like fruits, olives, the crops which like commercial purpose, which are grown only for the purpose of commercial, like money making, and it can be sold in the world market. This will increase incomes and reduce environmental degradation also, because those crops need very less irrigation and can be grown very good in these crops. So what are those crops? Like high value crops are like fruits, medicinal herbs, flowers, vegetables, biodiesel crops like jatropha and jojoba. So they need very less irrigation compared to rice and sugarcane, and it can be sold in the world market. We can export it to other countries and earn more income. And India's diverse climate can be harnessed to grow a wide range of high value crops. We can shift from food crops towards commercial crops so that our income can increase. But how far is it feasible? If we are not growing food crops, then how can this vast population can be given feed? How this large population will get the food? Now here comes the question. Change in cropping pattern, like from cereals to high value, will mean that India have to import food, because we cannot grow food, we have to import the food. So 1960s disaster Green Revolution is invented to solve the problem of food import. Then after Green Revolution, India has become self-sufficient in food production, we started producing surplus, and we are exporting it to other countries also. But now what we been thought, high value commodities can be exported than food items, so that our economy can be developed. Like we can follow the countries like Italy, Israel and Chile, which are exporting high value products and importing food products. Okay, so are we ready to take this risk? So this is also our point of discussion. Hope you have understood. Lot many points for discussion.